Have you ever noticed how quickly a woman who once seemed so engaged can suddenly become distant? One day she's responding to your texts with enthusiasm, calling you late at night just to chat, and sharing laughter freely. The next day, silence. Your messages go unanswered, her replies become short and cold, and every interaction feels like pulling teeth. In that moment, confusion sets in. You wonder, did I say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Is she testing me? It's natural to feel a wave of anxiety, a strong pull to fix the situation immediately. Many men make the same critical mistake. They chase harder. They double text, call repeatedly, or write long messages trying to explain themselves, desperate to regain her attention. But here's the harsh truth. Chasing never works. In fact, it often pushes her further away. The reason is simple. Women respond to emotional strength, not desperation. When you panic and seek validation, you signal insecurity, dependency, and lack of control. Attraction is subtle, built on perception, curiosity, and respect, not on pressure or pleading. But what if I told you there's one simple approach that changes everything? One strategy so powerful that it can turn her distance into respect, curiosity, and renewed attraction. Understanding this requires looking deeper into female psychology, why she pulls away, what she really wants, and how your reaction determines whether she comes back or disappears for good. This is the moment most men fail, but if you master this, you can hold the quiet power that draws her in without chasing. When a woman starts pulling away, many men fall into a predictable trap. They chase. They send multiple messages, call repeatedly, or write long paragraphs explaining themselves, hoping to regain her attention. At first, it feels logical. After all, you care about her and you want clarity. But in reality, this is the exact behavior that erodes attraction. Here's why. Attraction is built on respect, curiosity, and emotional stability. When you chase, you signal the opposite. You signal neediness, insecurity, and dependence. Instead of drawing her closer, you create pressure, tension, and discomfort. What might have started as mild curiosity now turns into doubt. She begins to question your confidence and whether you can handle emotional complexity. Chasing also unintentionally lowers your perceived value. Women notice patterns of behavior, even subconsciously. The more you pursue, the more it appears that your happiness depends on her responses. Emotional dependence, no matter how genuine, diminishes attraction. The irony is that most men act out of love or concern, but the effect is exactly the opposite. The more you chase, the further she drifts. Silence, calmness, and self-control are often far more powerful than any message or explanation. Understanding this dynamic is the first step toward mastery. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to pause, observe, and respond in a way that strengthens your presence and confidence. This is the foundation for the single most important strategy when a woman distances herself, a strategy that flips the dynamic entirely, turning her distance into respect, curiosity, and renewed attraction. To respond effectively when a woman distances herself, you first need to understand the psychology behind her behavior. Women rarely pull away without reason. There is almost always an underlying factor influencing their actions. Recognizing these reasons will help you maintain composure and respond in a way that strengthens attraction rather than destroys it. 1. Testing emotional strength. Often, a woman's distance is a subtle test of your emotional resilience. When she steps back, she's observing whether you can remain composed under tension. She's not necessarily aware of it consciously, but on a deep psychological level, women are attracted to men who remain stable, confident, and self-assured when challenged. If you panic or overreact, you signal weakness and insecurity, which diminishes her respect and attraction. 2. Feeling bored or overexposed. Sometimes she pulls back because she perceives too much availability or predictability. Women, like anyone, are drawn to men who have purpose, ambition, and independence. If you are overly accessible or too focused on her attention, she may test whether you truly value yourself rather than relying on her for validation. 3. Processing emotions. Life can be overwhelming, and women, like men, sometimes need space to process emotions. Stress, disappointment, or personal challenges may prompt temporary withdrawal. Respecting this space demonstrates emotional maturity, whereas pushing for constant communication can come across as selfish or inconsiderate. 4. Comparison and evaluation. Occasionally, a woman pulls back to evaluate her options or reflect on the relationship. She might interact with others or simply reassess whether you are the right person for her. This can feel uncomfortable, but it is a natural part of her decision-making process. 5. Seeking leadership and stability. Finally, distance can be a silent invitation for you to demonstrate leadership. She wants to see whether you are dependent on her attention or whether you can maintain self-control, emotional stability, and focus on your own goals. A man who remains calm and grounded in the face of distance signals strength, reliability, and long-term value. Understanding these patterns is critical. Each reason reflects a woman's need for emotional security, respect, and attraction to strength rather than pressure. When you recognize the psychology behind her behavior, you are no longer reacting blindly. You respond strategically, confidently, and in a way that enhances your value in her eyes. One of the most common mistakes men make when a woman distances herself is chasing. The instinct to send repeated messages, call constantly, or write long emotional paragraphs often feels like the right response, but it is the exact opposite of what builds attraction. When you chase, you inadvertently signal insecurity. You appear dependent on her attention for your happiness. Instead of demonstrating strength and confidence, you show neediness. Women are naturally drawn to men who remain composed, even when tested. Chasing, however, communicates the opposite: instability, desperation, and lack of self-control. Another consequence of chasing is the erosion of respect. Attraction is tightly linked to respect, and once a woman perceives that you cannot handle emotional pressure, her respect diminishes. Without respect, desire and curiosity fade quickly. Long messages explaining yourself, pleading for attention, or attempting to justify your behavior often feel overwhelming and counterproductive. Instead of making her feel closer, you create pressure that pushes her further away. It's also important to understand that this behavior often comes from a place of love or concern. You want clarity, reassurance, or to fix the situation. Yet, intention alone does not determine outcome. Behavior does. Pursuing her aggressively reinforces the impression that you are emotionally dependent on her, undermining your value in her eyes. The solution is counterintuitive. Silence, composure, and self-focus are far more effective than chasing. By stepping back and maintaining your calm, you signal confidence, independence, and emotional strength. This approach not only preserves respect, but often increases her curiosity and attraction. Recognizing this mistake is the first step to mastering the one strategy that changes everything: the strategy of calm, confident inaction. When a woman distances herself, the most powerful and often counterintuitive response is to do nothing. Yes, you read that correctly. The single most effective strategy is to remain calm, composed, and silent. This does not mean acting out of anger, resentment, or immaturity. It means exercising emotional control, respecting her space, and focusing on your own life. Silence communicates strength. It shows her that your self-worth does not depend on her attention or approval. In a world where many men react impulsively, chasing, pleading, or explaining themselves, remaining calm sets you apart. Your lack of reaction conveys stability, confidence, and emotional maturity, which are traits that naturally attract women. This strategy works because women are drawn to men who demonstrate control over their emotions. When you chase, you signal the opposite: dependency, insecurity, and vulnerability under pressure. By contrast, when you hold your silence, you send a subtle but powerful message: I am in control. I respect your space. I am confident in myself. Silence also sparks curiosity. When a woman sees that you are not reacting to her distance, she begins to wonder why. Is he truly unaffected? Does he have other priorities? This curiosity can reignite her interest and, in many cases, leads her to reach out on her own. Importantly, this approach is not passive or weak, it is strategic. It allows you to maintain dignity, preserve respect, and strengthen your value in her eyes. It gives her the space to reflect on her feelings while you continue to grow, focus on your goals, and maintain a life that is rich and independent. In short, when a woman pulls away, your power lies in restraint. By doing nothing, calmly, confidently, and respectfully, you turn her distance into attraction, curiosity, and renewed respect. To see how this strategy works in real life, consider the story of David. David met a woman he genuinely liked. At first, everything felt effortless. Long phone calls, daily texts, laughter, and playful banter. She seemed fully engaged, and he felt a deep connection forming. But then, without warning, she started to pull away. Her responses became shorter, less frequent, and the energy between them shifted. David panicked. He wrote long, emotional messages. "Did I do something wrong? Please talk to me. I miss you." He called more often, hoping to rekindle the connection. But the more he chased, the colder she became. Each message, each call, only reinforced the distance he feared. Then David made a conscious decision to change his approach. Instead of chasing or pleading, he stopped texting. He allowed silence to take over, not out of spite, but out of respect for himself and her space. He redirected his energy toward his own life. He focused on his goals, spent time with friends, exercised, and cultivated confidence and purpose. Weeks later, something remarkable happened. She reached out first. "Hey, stranger, why haven't you texted?" The dynamic had shifted entirely. By maintaining calm, silent strength, David had transformed the situation. What once seemed like a loss of interest became an opportunity for renewed attraction. This story illustrates a critical lesson. Attraction thrives on curiosity, respect, and emotional stability. When a man chases, he signals neediness. When he steps back, he signals strength. Silence is not passive. It is a demonstration of self-control, confidence, and leadership. David's experience shows that the way you respond when a woman distances herself determines whether she comes closer or drifts away permanently. The lesson is clear. Doing nothing strategically often creates the strongest connection. When a woman distances herself, choosing silence over chasing has profound effects. By not reacting impulsively, you maintain control, preserve respect, and often strengthen attraction. But what exactly happens when you stay silent? First, silence communicates confidence and emotional stability. She notices that your sense of self is not tied to her responses. You are not dependent on her validation, and you are capable of managing your emotions independently. This calm, composed behavior signals strength, which is inherently attractive. Women are drawn to men who can maintain their center, even when tested. Second, silence creates curiosity. When she expects a reaction and doesn't get one, her mind starts to wonder, why isn't he chasing? What is he focused on instead? This curiosity reignites interest because women are naturally drawn to individuals who maintain independence and a full, purposeful life. Silence allows her to reflect on your value without the pressure of constant communication. Third, your respect for her space reinforces attraction. Pulling back shows that you can honor boundaries and that you understand the importance of emotional balance in a relationship. It demonstrates maturity, which increases both respect and desire. Finally, staying silent produces one of two outcomes. She either returns, drawn by your calm confidence, or she leaves, revealing that the relationship was never meant to be. In both scenarios, you win. If she comes back, attraction is restored and often stronger than before. If she leaves, you maintain dignity, self-respect, and the freedom to pursue someone who aligns better with your life and values. The key takeaway is that silence is not passivity, it is strategic power. By holding your composure, respecting boundaries, and focusing on your own growth, you demonstrate qualities that words or chasing could never convey. Beyond the immediate strategy of silence lies a deeper understanding of female psychology that can transform the way you approach attraction. Women are not drawn to words, explanations, or pressure. They are drawn to qualities that signal strength, emotional stability, and independence. One core lesson is that women respect men who can remain unshaken under testing circumstances. When she distances herself, she is often unconsciously evaluating your ability to manage emotional tension. A man who panics, chases, or pleads demonstrates a lack of resilience. Conversely, a man who remains calm communicates confidence, leadership, and self-reliance. These traits are inherently magnetic because they signal reliability, maturity, and long-term value. Another important principle is that curiosity fuels attraction. Women are naturally intrigued by men who maintain independence and purpose. Silence and self-focus create a subtle tension that sparks interest. By not overreacting, you allow her mind to notice your value, wonder about your life, and reflect on the strength she may have underestimated. Emotional intelligence is another factor. Women are drawn to men who understand emotions, not just their own, but hers as well. Respecting her space, giving her room to process feelings, and responding with calm assurance shows that you are emotionally attuned and capable of handling complex dynamics. Finally, the broader lesson is that attraction is not about chasing or controlling someone else. It is about demonstrating qualities that naturally elicit respect and desire: stability, confidence, leadership, and composure. When you master these principles, your presence becomes magnetic, and your interactions are defined not by anxiety or neediness, but by quiet strength. By integrating these lessons, you move beyond reactive behaviors and into a mindset of strategic emotional power. You no longer fear distance. You use it as an opportunity to demonstrate your value and build a connection rooted in respect, curiosity, and authentic attraction. Understanding female psychology and the power of silence is one thing, but applying it consistently is what truly creates results. Here are practical steps you can take when a woman distances herself. 1. Hold your silence. Resist the urge to chase, plead, or over-explain. This is the most powerful tool you have. Silence communicates confidence, emotional control, and self-respect. It signals that your sense of worth is independent of her attention. 2. Focus on self-improvement. Redirect your energy toward your personal goals. Hit the gym, advance in your career, pursue hobbies, and spend quality time with friends. A man with a purposeful, fulfilling life naturally becomes more attractive because he is independent and ambitious. 3. Respect her space. Allow her the time and emotional room she needs. Space is not rejection. It's an opportunity for her to reflect and for you to maintain composure. By respecting boundaries, you demonstrate maturity and emotional intelligence. 4. Demonstrate calm strength. Carry yourself with quiet confidence in every interaction. Whether she reaches out or remains distant, your demeanor should reflect stability and self-assurance. Avoid reacting impulsively or emotionally. 5. Maintain perspective. Remember that attraction thrives on strength, independence, and curiosity. Whether she returns or moves on, your dignity and self-respect remain intact. The goal is not to force someone back, but to cultivate the qualities that naturally draw her or the right woman toward you. Applying these steps consistently transforms the dynamic. You no longer chase validation, you command it through presence, composure, and purposeful living. This is how you shift from reactive behavior to strategic emotional power. A woman distancing herself is not a rejection. It is a test of strength, composure, and self-respect. Most men fail this test by chasing, pleading, or over-explaining, unknowingly lowering their value in her eyes. The man who understands female psychology, however, knows that the most powerful response is strategic silence. By holding your composure, respecting her space, and focusing on your own life, you demonstrate emotional maturity and confidence. Silence becomes a tool of attraction, sparking curiosity, reigniting respect, and often drawing her closer. If she returns, the connection is deeper and more meaningful. If she moves on, you maintain dignity and open the door for someone better aligned with your life. Remember, attraction is not about words, pressure, or validation. It is about presence, emotional control, and independence. The more you cultivate these qualities, the more magnetic you become. Take this lesson to heart. When a woman pulls away, do not panic, do not chase, and do not explain endlessly. Hold your silence, stay confident, and focus on your value. Master this, and you transform distance into attraction.